Well, welcome to the latest installment of the Run to Daylight show brought to you by the FFPC. Use the code DAYLIGHT on myffpc.com and save $25 on your first league. I will leave that going. I will be doing later today at 2 p.m. I might do it live, my first live FFPC draft of the year. The Best Ball Mania tournament is what we're going to be doing right now. But that FFPC $300,000 grand prize, I'm going to be chasing that. I've made the finals every year of that tournament. I hope to keep that going with less volume this year than what I've had in the past. So that could be a challenge. But there's also $2 million prizes up there for the FFPC. Drafts start at $35. So if you've never played on the FFPC, use the code DAYLIGHT. Not only will that help me a little bit, but it also will give you 25 of your first 35 if you want to do their Superflex tournament, which has $100,000 up top. All right, that's going to let me get in the screen that I'm using. We're going to be doing this draft with the Spike Week tool. Sometimes I use Spike Week, sometimes I use the solver. I'm testing the solver out this year, and you'll be able to see. So I was up with the 2 pick. So I'm mixing it up a little bit. I've got a lot of Jefferson, and so far I'm open on the clock again, so you can see my ranks. Really a tough part of the draft. I'm going to go with McBride here to go with Nico Collins. That's something I don't have. So basically what I've been doing is, because I like Neighbors and Brian Thomas so much, I am all right. So now Tyreek fell to me in the 3rd, and I don't mind taking him there. So we got a Nico, Tyreek, McBride start. So to get enough Nico and to get enough Puka, I'm moving all 4 of those guys into the 2, 3, and 4, maybe 5 at times, so that I get enough of all the guys that I think are young and could be the 1-1 next year. Also gives me some unique combinations in this tournament, which is also very important. So I'm going to tell my friends over at Spike Week. So we also have comments. So if you have a question about my draft, my strategy, etc., let me know. So I'm 15 picks away. Because of the Spike Week tools, this moves around a lot. So what I've been doing to get my queue filled is I've been going to my phone, and I'm doing that now. And I'm putting all the people in that I would be open to drafting on my next go round. I've just recently updated my rankings. So what you're able to do is see my rankings on the left and the ADP on the right. Typically, I like looking at ADP. So you see there's a hole. I didn't have James Cook. I have him as not a great value. So Cortland Sutton, another one, Chuba Hubbard. I'll end up with some of these guys. I'm not the type to full fade, but what I want to do in these situations is I like bouncing back and forth between my rank. I like doing my ranks on the phone and then having ADP so I can see, who might. It's easier for me to see who might fall to the next round when I do it that way. I don't recognize anyone in this draft. M. Durr, that's kind of interesting. Couldn't be. All right, yeah. So then let's get over to StreamYard. Best ball on call. Good morning. Good morning to you as well. Feel free to throw out some questions. It makes the stream better the more questions that I get, because I'm not doing this with a partner. I'm talking. So let me take you through the Spike Week tools a little bit. So, and you can go to spikeweek.com and sign up for these. I think they're the best. I'm not going to get into the whole argument thing, but you can quickly see all your correlations. I highlight them in green. Stacks will end up in blue once I take a quarterback. And then your correlations will also show up over here once you fill them in. You have a variety of options to look. I tend to put playoff view in. We don't have anything yet. All right, so I'm up in a couple picks. James Cook's at the top. Hurts and Devonta Smith are available as a combination. That is not going to be unique, but it will be unique with Nico Collins. But Devonta Smith went. Now, do I want to be a snake and, kind of mess with him? I really don't. I'm going to look. I really don't have anyone I love here. You know what? I'm going to take Jalen Hurts. It's one thing not to want to snipe, and I'll make this a James Cook team maybe. No, I won't. All right. So all the running backs are gone. Jameson, I have him ranked 45th, 46th. We're up to 51st. That makes that a pretty easy one. It keeps me at 1031. Probably not going to go with Kyler. I'm not a big Kyler guy. So we're setting up for Stroud, Goff, or Tua on the back end, all of which would be acceptable to me. But obviously not the only ways I can go. There's some guys who I can backstack. Going to be interesting to see how far Judkins falls this week. All right, so let's refresh. You're going to have a little bit of a delay when I put things in there. So I wanted Hurts, Devonta Smith. Did I want to necessarily snipe that guy? No. But, you can backstack with Goddard. Hurts is someone who, it's nice to stack with, but it's not a need to. I think he's one of the more underpriced guys out there. So you could see Odunze, Godwin, Judy come up. I'll add Godwin because of the correlation. I'm not huge on Godwin this year. And really, I guess I could push up Pollard. I would like to come out of this next two picks with my first running back. Let's see how that goes. I'm 8 picks away. Let's do it by ADP. That'll give, I definitely don't want Burrow. I've taken a lot of Caleb Johnson. I think half PPR, he's going to be a very interesting guy. I know Aaron Rodgers likes to get touchdowns, but there are years where Green Bay running backs also had a lot of touchdowns. I know Aaron Jones did one year. So, and we don't know how the Arthur Smith thing with Rodgers is going to play out. And of course, I forgot to put water next to me. So this is going to get really interesting. All right, 2 picks away. I would love to get Travion Henderson here. RJ Harvey, 63, 8 picks after. Well, that's when I would take a guy like Harvey. I think his ADP is a little too high. But if I don't get Henderson, I will take, and you can see I've got 8% of Harvey. But Henderson is an easy pick for me there. So that changes the dynamic of my running back room by taking a guy who I don't know is going to have a big workload. I don't have any other wide receivers that I really like here. If Harvey makes it back to me, I'm going to take him. and he did. So that's 12 pick discount, and that gives this running back. So when I've got Henderson and Harvey, I'm going to be a lot more open. I'm a lot more cognizant this year of how I mix my running back rooms with upside and with floor. I had the worst advance rate I ever had last year. Partly that was due to my strategy, partly that was due to the players that I chose, but also it was because I went a little too, in my view, a little too extreme zero running back. And, I got double crushed because Henry and Barkley went nuclear, but also because I just didn't have enough points to stay close early while waiting for those guys to kick in. So I'll explain more as we go. Let me take a second here. I'm 15 picks away. So, like, I'm looking at Travis Etienne. I mean, that's a guy that I normally don't draft. And again, we're running into situations here where there's not as many guys as I like available on my next pick. So it didn't matter last time because, well, it's one of the reasons that I'm not a fan of the second pick in the draft or the third or even the fourth. But I took Nico at 2. So, all right, you see Judkins and Mahomes. I don't need Mahomes. Judkins, we had the incident yesterday. Going to be interesting to see how far he falls. Brian Robinson's a guy I haven't been drafting, even though it says 6%. So here's the number for the tourney. Here's the number for the slate. I was taking some Brian Robinson early. I backed off a lot. Ayuk, I'm still waiting to see what happens. I went through a quick Ayuk phase. The guys at Spike Week talked me out of it a bit. We'll add Kyler to the mix. Jalen Warren is a guy who I think would fit this running back room okay. Bo Nix and Fields. So Bo Nix with Harvey, and then I can backstack one of his late wide receivers or even Ingram. I mean, that's interesting. I don't know that it's smart necessarily for where I am. But let's see. I've only got 3 wide receivers to this point. So that would really put me behind at wide receiver. So if Shaheed's there, that's an easy pick for me. Kupp, I don't have much Kupp, none in the tourney. Pick 94. I really don't want to take him at ADP. I don't mind coming up for Shaheed. So that would be my first pick. Trey Harris is probably going to fall. Keon Coleman's interesting. I've got him with Philadelphia. In fact, let's take Coleman. That'll give me a correlation, and you see how that back Hurts now has green instead of red. So I've backstacked Hurts. And that's another reminder. I don't want a tight end because I want Goddard and I don't want 3. See how easy it is to forget? So I lost out on Shaheed by doing that. And I really don't want to take, well, Trey is holding out. I thought his ADP was too high anyway. I'm going to take my rare Cooper Kupp share. So I'm at 1,251. I like the quarterbacks there, but they were not a need. Improving this wide receiver room, I thought, was more important. Not loving this team, got to be honest so far. But let's see what we can do to fill it out. All right, let's refresh this sucker. Any questions? We saw Judkins make it to 85. We'll see. Is he still on the board? No, he went. Where did he go? I mean, it's a three-way situation on a bad team. I don't see where he went, but I don't see him either. Well, I don't want to spend more time on it than I need to. Market reaction to running backs makes it tough to feel good about zero running back. I'm much more hero running back this year than I am zero, true zero. But it depends on your definition, right? To me, this is a zero running back team. Trevion Henderson, 6th round, 6th round. RJ Harvey, 7th round. I mean, this is a zero running back team, but it's going to be interesting to see what I can do with it here. I've got some ideas for the next pick. One of them revolves around adding Ramondre to Trevion Henderson. I've done that a few times, and I don't hate it. That would give me most weeks a running back out of my top 3. Hoping that Harvey pans out. I could also do Dobbins with Harvey. I mean, I've not done that yet. I don't have much Dobbins. You can see 2%. I missed the window on Dobbins. You know, I lost the lottery by not really feeling him early. And I got to make sure that Goddard's going to make it back. So, you know, I'm going to go Goddard and a running back here. It'll be interesting to see which. So Dobbins went, so that's off the board. That would have been my first pick. And since I've got 3 guys that I like about the same, I mean, do I want to take a chance on? So the guy in between me has no tight ends. So, you know, he could go Kraft, he could go Kincaid. I mean, I hate to not have Goddard. He's got 3 running backs. He could also go. I doubt he goes 2 running backs. Let's see. So, all right, this is easy. I take Goddard, and he can't take all 3 of the running backs I like. I want a little bit more floor, so I'm going to prioritize Ramondre over Spears here to kind of balance my running back room a little bit. And again, I don't love this team so far. All right, we're going to go Ramondre. That gives me a little bit more floor overall while still keeping Henderson and Harvey as boom upsides. This is definitely a 6 running back team. It could even be a 7 running back team. I definitely don't need another tight end, and I'm not going to get a 3rd quarterback. So this is looking 2-7-7-2-ish to me. But it could be 2-6-8-2 too. Najee is falling ridiculously so far. I mean, Najee would not be a bad pick for this team. But let's see where we go. I'm not taking Kyle Williams. So I just go down the line. I'm not taking Herbert. I love Herbert. I'm not taking Goff even. Well, Goff, I guess I could take if he makes it all the way back. So 11 picks away. So 1-3-5-2. Very, very strong tight end room. Kind of weak at wide receiver. I think Stroud, Nico, I mean, this team, a lot of it's going to depend on what happens with Tyreek. Not my favorite running back room, not my favorite wide receiver room, and that makes sense, right? I'm strong at quarterback, and I'm strong at tight end. Taking Hurts, is not the best decision I ever made, but I really didn't love anyone there. So I also need to take Kincaid out. I don't need a third tight end. In fact, what I tend to do in situations like this is just start. I don't even need to look at tight end anymore. So another cool thing you can do is you can go by ADP on one and rank by the other and get a quick view. I mean, Garendo I'm up to 21%. Last year, we were bending over backwards between three different guys as the backup in that backfield. And now, so let's see. Does this guy have any Houston people? He needs a tight end. Do I want to miss out on Stroud for Garendo? I can. I really like Garendo. I think he gives every team a tremendous amount of upside. And I'm going to take a chance that Stroud makes it back to me. I could always go with 2 on the way back if I lose Stroud. So I prefer Stroud, and I got Stroud. So that's how you take chances sometimes. I feel a lot better in the running back room with Garendo's upside. I'm still light on early floor, but Henderson and Harvey hopefully, give me that. But this team is going to be a little light on floor. All right, let's. But this running back room needs some work still, and then you're pushing wide receiver a little bit more to try and, this is the challenges that you run into when you go double strong tight end, and a strong quarterback as well. Great question, Best Ball on Call. I am fully in the 2 quarterback this year. Historically, the difference between second and third quarterbacks is very, very small. The predominant thought now on Twitter and among smart people is 3 quarterbacks gives you both a slight uptick in it gives you a slight uptick in advance rate, and it gives you a slight downgrade in week 17. Historically, there are years where 2 quarterbacks have had better advance rates than 3 quarterbacks, in a vacuum. But I still feel that 2, as long as your 2 quarterbacks have enough upside and enough floor, I am much happier taking a shot. It really comes down to who ends up being available when you take that third quarterback. It's a little safer for advance rate, but not enough for me to go after it when you consider that the last 2 years we've had an inordinate amount of quarterback injuries, which has affected how everyone views this year. So if we get a year where there's not a lot of quarterback injuries and you've got a lot of 2 good quarterback teams, and you're then able to also hit on that late round guy who turns things in, who turns into a 5th round pick, I think that you are well ahead of the game. So I've only got 1 wide receiver here, and that's Thielen. I really come around on Adam Thielen. He has a lot of upside. Like, we want to say he's, old, but he just keeps finding ways to have big weeks. So he also stacked up with Cooper Kupp for my old guy brigade, and the other running back I was thinking of taking, Roshan Johnson, made it back to me. So that's a win-win. Samson is moving up. Let's see where Shipley's all the way up in the 14th round. I mean, I packed my Shipley bags pretty good before the move. And, I'm up to 35% on Shipley in the tournament, 21% overall. So I don't feel the need necessarily to chase him too much. So now we're at 2,562. So it really comes down to me to putting value into the rest of this team. Give me a sec. Now, I'm more likely to consider a little bit of floor with the last running back than I would normally. So when I look at my running back room, right now there are weeks where I'm not going to get 10 points out of two spots, unless Henderson and Stevenson really just crush. I'm really counting on Harvey, who I haven't been counting on, but at pick 74, I felt that was worth it. Waiting for Garendo, hoping that Roshan gives me a floor. And the floor guy is Justice Hill. Justice Hill has a role. There's going to be weeks when he gets you 8 to 10 points. Is that exciting? No, but I've got a lot of upside in this running back room. I've got Henderson. I got Harvey. I've got Garendo. Roshan, if he beats out Swift. I think that Justice Hill would be a nice addition to this team. And Jalen Noel was the guy I wanted, but he's gone. So I would have prioritized him to go with Stroud. I could use a week 17 Charger. Let's see if there's anyone that is still around that meets that. Mike Williams, not worth it. I would do that. I've done that once with Herbert. I could use a little juice in this running back, a wide receiver room. And there goes Justice Hill, one pick before me. So that kind of sucked. I don't know that Chubb has that kind of upside. Thornton, Mason Taylor, Gesicki, nothing really jumping out at me. I might just let this go. Yep, I let it go. So Alec Pierce, nice home run hitter, not sexy. This is one of my least sexy wide receiver rooms in a while. But up top, Nico, Tyreek, Jameson. Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, I lost track of things. Now Chubb is my I didn't realize that. Sorry, guys. I thought I had made my second pick in that round. I mean, Chubb is fine. Is he a floor guy? Not necessarily. If Mixon can't play, he certainly might be. But I was taking some Chubb before he signed. I got 4% in the tourney, 7% overall. I mean, this whole team is not my favorite. So we've got 2-6-7-2. I've got Hurts and Stroud. We know about everything here. I'm leaning wide receiver over running back here down the stretch, but let me see. So I threw a bunch of names in. Yeah, so I covered the 2 QB versus 3 QB thing pretty well, I think. I guess I wonder where Jerome Ford went. I didn't even think of him. He went. See, I'm way down on Ford, and he gets a bump. He went at PSU PD. I don't even know when he took him. He took him 17.9. I should have taken him instead of Chubb. I blew that one. That's one of the things when you're doing these things by yourself and talking while hoping to. I could definitely use another running. You know who I'm really going to be interested in here is Kyle Monange to go with Roshan. That's kind of interesting to me here. So I'm going to move him up to the top. I mean, this team is dependent on Tyreek being Tyreek anyway. So why not double down on that? You get Nico, you get Tyreek. You've got enough out of the third. I've got two really good tight ends, so I'm going to get a decent bit of that out of the flex. This running back room has a lot of upside, but it also has a tiny bit of floor. And I kind of think Monangai is an interesting guy. And the cost of putting him and Roshan together, I've got two stack huffs with Ramonde and Trevion and Roshan and Monangai. That gives me a much better chance of getting some floor, which I felt this running back room lacked. And it doesn't lack ceiling. It has an enormous amount of ceiling with Henderson, Harvey, Guarendo, and one of the backup Chicago guys. So not my favorite team of all time, but as you can see, it is not terrible. So remember, you can, if you've never played on the FFPC, it's my favorite site to play on. You've got tight end premium. You've got an extra flex. So it's 2 wide receivers, 2 flexes, really helps you to build. I might do that draft live for a few rounds for about the first half hour today at 2:00. So if you follow me, check me out. If you don't follow me, wouldn't hurt you to follow me. I'm pretty, reasonable guy. There's a lot of another good. Yes, the answer is yes. And I don't know temporarily. But I'll also be interested in Judkins depending on where he falls. I don't have a lot of Judkins, so I don't mind taking a discount depending in a vacuum. So use the code DAYLIGHT on myffpc.com, save $25, and maybe I'll see you later today, guys. Thanks for joining.